Harp on Sports, The Bar, podcast, audio, media, radio network. What do we have in store for you on this edition of the show? Well, golf's next great. You can fall for the hype. I'm not. Wait till you hear the perfect example why Collin Morikawa is going to be just like three other guys that we've seen these last 9-10 years and combining them to equal Tiger Woods. A little work on this one. So we're going to look at that. Also, a couple other things, amateur hour, a couple of things going on in amateur athletics and the behavior of someone that is an amateur, kind of all boiled into one. And as you boil all this into one, you come up with one conclusion, that selfishness is on the rise, and so is accountability at the same time. So we're going to look at that and something that the NBA, a new era, has taught us. All right, let's start off with golf first. Collin Morikawa, hey, look, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching him win. I enjoyed watching him rally. This is a major for the second consecutive year. You look back a year ago when he was able to take care of business and win the PGA Championship. You take that, you combine that with now an Open Championship. The first time he played him, he won them. Great storylines, great angles, interesting angles. I like it. I like it a lot. Here's the thing. It's okay with a new guy to come along as long as that new guy builds and builds and builds and builds. The problem is this is the fourth new guy to come along in the last decade. New guys dominate for 2 years, 2.5 years, and then they stop. And then another guy comes along and dominates for 2.5 years, and then he stops. And then another guy comes along and dominates for 2.5 years, then he stops. And then another guy comes along. I want to take you back to Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods back in 1997 came on like gangbusters, right? A decade later, tears his ACL, doesn't win another major for 12 years. So Tiger Woods in a 10-year stretch, right? 97 to 2007. Remarkable. 97, 08. I know he was in contention in the PGA once. Was that with Y.E. Yang that it was close? But when you get right down to it, Tiger Woods' major dominance lasted a decade. The issue with golf is people have come along and they have been momentarily great. And then they've been consistently good. Tiger, consistently great and momentarily amazing. Again, we went through this, right? Tiger Woods was at 14 majors from 97 to 07, 97 to 08 in that stretch run. I'll take you back to 2010. Who bursts on the scene? Rory McIlroy. Rory McIlroy comes along and Rory wins what? 4 majors, 4 years. So Rory McIlroy from 2000 to 2013 wins 4 majors. 2014 wins 4 majors, and it's like, oh my gosh, here comes Rory McIlroy. Oh my, he's the next Tiger. He's the next Tiger. Then what happens? Parking brake. Parking brake. Then comes along Jordan Spieth. He wins back-to-back majors to start. Almost wins 3 straight majors in the Open Championship. Then what happens? Well, he doesn't win one. Then a year and a half, 2 years later, he wins another one. So from 2014 to 2017, 2015 to 2017, here comes Jordan Spieth. And then what happens? Parking brake. And here comes Brooks Koepka. 2017, 2019. What happens in those 2 years, 3 year stretch? Brooks Koepka wins 4 majors. So Rory wins 4. Spieth wins 4. Koepka wins 4. After Koepka wins his 4th, parking brake. Then what happens? Well, Koepka hasn't won one in a couple years. Here comes Morikawa, and now he has 2, right? He wins, Morikawa wins the PGA and now the Open. And is he going to be another Spieth, another Koepka, another McIlroy? Again, think about this. From 2010 to 2021, what? Rory's won 4, right? Rory, multiple wins. Spieth's won 4. Koepka's won 4. Morikawa has now won 2. 4, 4, 4, 2, 14. That equals Tiger Woods. Isn't that amazing? From 2010 to 2021, Rory, then Spieth, then Koepka, and now Morikawa, those four combined equaled what Tiger Woods did from 97 to '08. Same type of run. Same type of run. Except it's taken four guys combined to equal what Tiger did. That shows you his greatness and his amazingness and dominance over the course of a decade. And this isn't just to compare to Tiger. The thing that I'm showing you is the reason why we can't get all fired up and geared up is because it's momentary success and then it's paused. Momentary success, then it's paused. Momentary success, then it's paused. Now, Morikawa, I'd like to see him win 9, 10, 11, 12 majors. But if golf's been any indication over the course of the last decade, what should happen? He may win another one next year. May win 2 next year. And then somebody else will come along. Now, there's guys that have come along here over this time and have won multiple championships, right? Won multiple majors in this window. Dustin Johnson's won a couple, right? But waiting for that next elite guy, it hasn't happened. Fleeting success from small pockets of players. Early part of the 2010s, it was Rory. Mid part of this last decade, it was Spieth. Latter part of last decade, it was Koepka. In the early part of this decade, it's Morikawa. Who's next? I don't know, but that's where golf runs into a problem. These guys are great for a little while. We fall in love, and then it's on to the next one. Golfers with majors, in regards to majors, are like running backs in the NFL. 3 or 4 year window, then done. And then okay. 3 or 4 year window, then okay. 3 or 4 year window, then okay. It's like a lot of NFL careers for a long time. Little mini dynasty. You know, you look back over the years, Cowboys, here we go, 4 or 5 year run, then okay. Who knows what's going to happen with the Chiefs? The Patriots have proved different than that. The Seahawks, 4 or 5 year run, then okay. That's what's happened. Tiger lasted 11 years. One of these guys, 2 years, 2.5 years before the next one comes along. So, golf's next great. Just look at how these guys compared, and everybody's going to rally behind this dude, and they should. He's a good story. He's an interesting story. He's likable. He's good. But Morikawa, looking back at the last 3, next great hopes. The next Tigers, Rory, 2 or 3 year window, 4 majors, pause. Spieth, 2 or 3 year window, 4 majors, pause. Koepka, 2 or 3 year window, 4 majors, pause. And now here we are with Morikawa. So there we go on that front. But still, nonetheless, 4 majors this year, 4 different winners, right? We look back, Matsuyama won the Masters, right? Then Filsey wins the PGA. Was it John Rahm won the U.S. and now Morikawa wins the Open? Okay, 2 first-timers. Okay, a decent year for golf? Yeah, sure. Why not? No Tiger Woods around? A decent year? You bet it was. Ryder Cup's coming up this year? Okay. All right, NBA Finals, the NBA new era. I was thinking about this, and look, if you haven't enjoyed these NBA Finals, you're telling on yourself. NBA Finals have been amazing. They've been fantastic. Extremely enjoyable. It has been. Suns get up 2-0. Bucks come roaring back and win 3 in a row. What do I think happens? I think the Bucks are going to polish them off in 6. Never thought I'd see that after up 2-0 in Phoenix. Never did I imagine Milwaukee'd win 3 in a row, but they have. Chris Paul has been decent. The problem is Booker needs to score 40, 45 points a night. And that's impossible. And after game 2, Giannis, Milwaukee adjusted. Got him the ball more, but other people stepped up. After game 2, Phoenix, nobody else is stepping up. But all that aside, it's been an enjoyable finals. It's been an enjoyable playoff, hasn't it? Isn't the complaint that it's rigged? Does this look rigged to you? The knock on the NBA, it's the NBA's boring. Is this boring to you? Not to me. You've got new blood. It's been enjoyable. The postseason's been enjoyable. Now, something I hope the NBA does that they won't, but they should. The NBA season should always be ending at this time. The NBA needs to push their season back a month. They do. The NBA needs to start their season Thanksgiving weekend. That's when the NBA should start their season. Rather than the middle of October or late October, start it in the middle of, or do it late November. Think about where we are right now. What's going on? Got Major League Baseball? What else? Once you hit that threshold in June, and June is like bam, 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 a bunch of stuff hits you at once, and then it's over. What hits you in June? Well, you have the Stanley Cup playoffs that are going on, so you have the Stanley Cup finals, you have the NBA finals, you have the College World Series, and you look up and you go, okay, here's the All-Star game, and we'll see you in 6 weeks football. July is a field. July is an island that hasn't been discovered. Baseball gets July all to itself. Golf moved a major out of August into May because it knows when August hits, you surrender everything to football. I get it. And then when September hits, forget it. In October, think about it this way. For a week and a half, 2 weeks in October, week and a half in October, you're competing with college football and the NFL. Then the whole month of November, you're the NBA, you're competing with college football and the NFL. Then the whole month of December, you're competing with the NFL, a little bit of college football. Then the NBA, January, competing with the NFL playoffs, and you kind of get into your own little wheelhouse there. And then by the time February rolls around, congratulations, the NBA, you're by yourself. Yay. The NBA could have the month of July to themselves. They could. They had to share a little bit with the NHL. We're going to have to share that coming up. Have to share it a little bit with Major League Baseball, but fine. The NBA, take a step back and go, wait a second here. We're just coming off a tremendous successful run. Our ratings are up. They were really bad last year. They were bad with the Lakers last year and the Heat. This year they're up with the Suns. Not only are they up with the Suns, they're up with the Bucks. What does that tell us? That everybody's turned on LeBron? No. It tells us last year when the NBA Finals were going on, there were 5 other sports taking place. Now it's all by itself. Wonder if we could learn from this. NBA, adjust. You know what sports adjusted and it changed the length of their season? There's 2 sports. Football. Football's constantly adjusting. College football, the college football regular season used to end in November. Now when does it end? Second week of December? Why? It's like, let's push this thing back a little more. Let's get into December. No, let's get into December. We got NFL going on, but we'll still take up Saturdays. Now college football is going to push into January. We're going to expand the postseason. Okay. If I'm the NBA, I'm looking around going, wait a second here. Competing, one less month that we can compete against football is better. And how about if that month is our most important month? The Eastern and Western Conference Finals and the NBA Finals. Everybody always talks about how the regular season doesn't matter in our sport, so let's take full advantage of our 2 big shining moments. Let's move it. And I've been a big proponent of college baseball moving their season back, and the College World Series would be taking place right now. So the NBA were wise. Catch on to this. Look what's happened. Look how much interest there is in your sport. You're on a stage. You're isolated. You're not competing with the NHL playoffs. You're not. The College World Series isn't going on the same time as the NBA postseason. You're all by yourself. Well, it is at least in the initial going here. But once you get to the conference finals, you're in good shape. So, food for thought. We kicked around the idea of the NBA. What should they do to change it in the play-in game? Move the season back a month. Start Thanksgiving weekend. See, that's when college basketball used to start. College basketball used to start Thanksgiving weekend. Now it starts November 11th. What happens? Nothing. You can get geared up for college basketball while college football is going on? No. If you start Thanksgiving weekend, that's when rivalry weekend is, isn't it? Rivalry weekend. College football, Thanksgiving weekend. The torch of being passed from one sport to another. That's what I would do. Put extra eyeballs. Extra eyeballs and earlobes on your product. Okay, a little amateur hour to wrap this thing up. A couple things going on with amateurism. First and foremost, the Yankee fan threw a baseball, hit a Red Sox player. The guy's banned from every baseball stadium. It's not only the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do and the only thing to do. I'm not going to get too worked up about this because Cubs fans, and I'm going to defend the Yankees here, Cubs fans have been throwing baseballs back into parks for years after somebody hits a home run. It's dangerous. They've been doing it for years. Was he trying to hit him on purpose? Maybe, possibly. Cubs fans have probably been doing that over the years. The guys just don't wing it without aiming it in some direction. You hit a player, shouldn't have hit him, banned for life. Good. How do you stop this behavior going forward? You don't. Remember the problem the NBA had a month and a half ago, 2 months ago? Was it 2 months ago? Or even longer than that? Where fan after fan after fan came on the court. For crying out loud, 17 years ago, a bunch of fans tried to fight the entire Pacers in Detroit. Tried to fight the entire team. So, fans coming on the court, fan unruly behavior, what do? You isolate that fan, you make an example of him, you ban him for life. It's like, well, how do we curb unruly behavior going forward? You're not. Baseball fans ran on the field 15 years ago and jumped a first base coach. Did Tom Gamboa? Unruly fan behavior is not changing. All this guy, well, ban him for life. That'll teach a lesson. No, it won't. The next drunk genius is going to do the same thing, but then you ban him for life. And hopefully over time you ban enough people for life, you just get rid of these guys. But this whole thing is like, oh, the next fan will think, if we ban him for life, then no. The death penalty doesn't stop other people from committing murder. It's a deterrent for that individual. So yeah, they isolated him, they kicked him out, banned him for life, or banned him from every baseball stadium. That's a good thing. Good. Next. But there's nothing else you can do. There's nothing else you can. There is nothing else you can do than what you've done. How does sports stop this? Well, with the exception of security guards, and you can get by a security guard. Come on, let's face it. How many of you, if you really, really wanted to, could get on a football field? All of us. You're all going to go to jail, but you all can get on a football field. You walk down to the first row, you kind of sit there, and you jump the fence, and before you know it, you're on the field. You're going to go to jail for it. How do we stop this? There have been tasing guys running on fields for years. It's amateur hour. Amateurs isolate. Boom. The other amateurism, speaking of isolation, is we're starting to get Team USA testing positive for COVID in the Olympics. And we've got 2 people now that have tested positive. They're in isolation. I just can't wrap my mind around the concept of sacrificing years of time, sweat, family to compete in this thing and not get a vaccine. I just can't wrap my mind. Oh, no, the science is out on this. I don't. No more YouTube doctors. No. Everybody that quotes, well, you never know. Well, you never know about anything. Even those Lysol wipe things only kill 99.999% of bacteria. What? Birth control pills work 99% of the time. Nothing is foolproof. Well, there's side effects. We just don't know about it yet. Oh, you're nothing more than a lab rat. You know, they were able to streamline this and get COVID up quicker. Why? Because they got rid of the bureaucracy. It wasn't a medical testing thing that they were able to streamline it quicker. It had to do with once they thought they had a viable option for a vaccine, they mass produced it. And they waited for the trials to end, and then the trials were good, so then they shot it through. They'd have had to destroy all that vaccine. Usually what they do is they wait for the trial to end, and then they start mass producing it. That's how they saved a year on it. People don't do research. They don't care. But beside the point, the science is in on this. The smartest people in the country, smartest doctors in the country say it's safe. It's safe for the majority of Americans. And look, again, you want to be selfish and you don't want to get the vaccine, go ahead. I think if you test positive now and you haven't been vaccinated, you shouldn't be allowed to go to the hospital if you get sick. You know the rules. You know what's at stake. You do. We're talking about this 15 months later. And the bottom 10%, actually it's bottom 30% in this country, they're not going to listen. So here you go. It costs. I can only imagine. I can only imagine putting in a month's worth of work on something and then not getting to do it because I was selfish and arrogant and ignorant. Not getting to do it so I could talk trash on Twitter. I've got my rights. So American Olympians testing positive for COVID. So we're going to isolate them. Isolate them and send them home. You don't get to compete. I don't want you infecting other Olympians. All this stuff. The NFL football players, what did I see? Certain rosters of the NFL only 50% vaccinated. These guys are getting shots in the locker room to numb entire parts of the body so they can play in games. ramming their head as hard as they can into somebody else. Guys are getting dementia, early onset Parkinson's disease, all of these things from playing football, but they won't get a shot. It's medically safe. It's medically safe. So I just am at a loss, behaving like amateurs. Home they go. Home they go. Non-vaccinated Olympians are more dangerous to other Olympians than anybody not standing for the flag. So, Team USA, and now they're like, oh my gosh, what do we do? Well, if you're vaccinated, you're going to be fine over there, right? Yeah, you are. You are. I can't wrap my mind around that type of selfishness. And here's the thing about it. If you truly loved your country, you're playing for the United States of America. You cannot sit there. You can't, logically, and rip on somebody for not standing for the national anthem, an Olympian, not standing. But then again, be okay with somebody not getting vaccinated. Aren't you representing the United States? Don't you owe it to the United States once you qualify to go compete? In order to compete, you have to be able to compete. And to be able to compete, you have to be vaccinated. There is no difference taking a knee, looking the other way from the flag, any of that stuff, than not getting a COVID vaccine. Both are equally non-patriotic. Hey, at least the person that takes a knee gets to compete. Harp on Sports, the bar. Harp on Sports, the podcast, audio, media, or radio network. You can check us out. Follow, share, like, subscribe at Harp on Sports, Twitter at Harp on Sports, Instagram, harponsports.com, Harp on Sports, the Facebook page, and of course, Harp on Sports, the bar via the YouTube channel. Check it out on all of those platforms. And there you go. Again, golf's next great one. Pause button. I've seen Morikawa before. 3 golfers are Collin Morikawa. We told you who they were. Also, the NBA and New Era. A little tweak that they could make, and they could own the summer. Should do it. And, of course, amateurism. Amateur Hour 101. Check it out. Also, you can check out the podcast, Buzzsprout, Harp on Sports via Spotify, and also on Apple Podcasts. Remember, stay clean, stay focused, stay strong. Frankenstein. Have fun with your friends.